All right, action.
Hello, my name is Brianna Apici. I have been a student in SUNY Rockland's nursing program for 4 semesters since fall of 2019. I'm currently taking 241 and 242.
Hi, my name is Victoria Loperino. This is my second year in the nursing program, and this semester I'm taking nursing 241 and nursing 242.
Hello, my name is Ralphie Cohn. This is my third semester in Rockland Community College Nursing, and I am currently taking 231 and 232 nursing classes.
Hey, I'm Jenny. I've been in the RCC nursing program just a little over 2 years. I started in fall of 2018, and I'm now in my final semester. I'm in 242, and I'm just a few weeks away from graduating. So really excited that I've made it through this far.
Hi guys, how's it going? My name is DeAndre. I'm a third semester nursing student. I'm currently in 231 and 232. I started the program January of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. So most of my experience has been through a pandemic, but nevertheless, we're making it through. We're pushing through so that we can be nurses and help out our beautiful people in the world, right? So,
hello, my name is Jillian Kelly. I started RCC's nursing program in the fall of 2019. So I've been in the program for 4 semesters, and I am currently taking 241 and 242.
Hi there, my name's Keith. I am in my 5th semester. I am taking classes part-time, so I'm only taking one class because I work full-time. It's 241.
Hi, my name is Brittany Maroney. I am taking nursing 241 and 242 this semester, and I have been in the nursing program since the spring of 2018.
Hi, my name is Lauren Sejas, and I am a nursing student here at RCC. I started the program in the spring semester of 2019, and I am now in 241 and 242. I'm extremely excited to graduate and get started. How long have you known you wanted to be a nurse, and why do you want to be a nurse? So I knew that I wanted to be a nurse and in healthcare for a really long time, and I guess I psyched myself out many times, and just, I actually got my bachelor's degree in 2013 in business administration and fashion merchandising, and I believe it was maybe around junior year that I really wanted to get into healthcare, but I figured I was too far into my first degree that I didn't want to restart all over again, so I just, powered through, got a job as soon as I graduated, worked in that for quite some time, did a few other things in the mix, and finally just quit my job altogether and said, no, nursing is what I want to do, and then I enrolled into the program, and thankfully.
So my story can be a little long, but we're gonna put it in 3 minutes or less. So I'm not one of those people who I knew ever since I was a kid that I wanted to be a nurse. No. Although my grandmother was an LPN, I actually wanted to be a dolphin and whale trainer when I was a kid because I grew up near San Diego. So we would go to SeaWorld a lot. So I wanted to be a killer whale trainer. I wanted to swim and train. But when I got into high school, I kind of let go of that dream, and I wanted to be a nurse. So starting in high school is when I kind of started thinking that I wanted to be a nurse. But because of that stigma of people saying, oh, only the smartest people get into nursing school, it's so competitive, which it is competitive, to get into a nursing program or, other limited enrollment programs. So I didn't think that I was smart enough to get into the program, so I did not apply. And I actually changed my route and went into dentistry. So I studied dental assisting at a local community college where I was at the time. And I was in dentistry for almost 6 years. And I said that I was going to go and get my hygiene license and become a hygienist, but then I realized that I don't want to be cleaning teeth all day. So I was like, let me go back for what I really wanted to go for, was to be a nurse. So
when I was a kid, I thought that I was going to be a laser brain surgeon. But then later in life, I had a double bypass, actually, not that much later. I was 27, And I didn't know that nurse practitioners or physician's assistants existed. And I'd always known that I wanted to help people, but seeing what they did and seeing the way they had a better bedside manner than some of the doctors was really inspiring.
I've known I wanted to be a nurse for a very long time, since I was a kid, watching my mom as an LPN in nursing homes and always wanting to help her when she brought me to work. I also knew when my cousin got diagnosed with leukemia at 2 months old when I was a kid. I watched her go from hospital to hospital. I watched her get a bone marrow transplant that put her into remission, and 10 years later, get a heart transplant due to damage from chemotherapy. I watched all different nurses and doctors save my cousin's life over the span of 14 years. I want to be able to provide this same feeling to other families around the country and do my part to save lives one patient at a time.
I don't think that there's any particular moment that hit me of, wow, I think I want to be a nurse. I think that I've always known I wanted to go into the medical field. And, I got to meet people who were in the nursing field, and it really inspired me, particularly the, human connection and the dedication and the devotion that these people exhibited. So, that really inspired me. And then just having a lot of friends who started going to nursing school generally inspired me to decide to take on this path.
So I think I've known that I wanted to be a nurse since high school. In high school, I did the BOCES program to become a CNA, a certified nursing assistant. I've been working as a CNA in a subacute care facility for 4 years, and I love it. So once I got the job experience, it just solidified my dream of becoming a nurse. I really enjoy working with people. I'm a people person. I've always loved learning. Nursing is a field, where you're continuously learning. I always love to learn and advance the way that I think. So that also contributes to why I want to be a nurse. Also, I have some family members very close to me that have health conditions that, I've been helping work through that. So, it gives me a little bit of more hands-on experience, and again, just really solidifies that I enjoy helping people and want to be a nurse. Statement. RCC nursing, I feel like, is definitely about the community here in Rockland County. For example, when I was in 141, I was able to participate in the anxiety and depression screening, which I think is great. We were able to interview, students and see where they were rated on that scale, and if they, felt comfortable enough, if they need additional help. I really think that's something that helps the community. That's not something that, people like to discuss or talk about every day. So I was very fortunate to be a part of that.
So what is the hardest thing about nursing school, and what has overcoming this taught you about yourself? That is a very interesting question. I would say, so first and foremost, let's get this straight. We know that nursing school is hard, right? Like everybody tells you, and it's kind of one of those things that like you don't realize it or you don't really get it until you're actually in it. Like I remember my first semester taking 111 and 113, you are getting the information, you're studying it like you studied in your previous classes, like your anatomy and physiologies and your microbiologies, and you're like, oh, I got this, and you go and take the exam, and then you get your results back, and you did not do anywhere near as good as you thought you did, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? So I think nursing school has a way of getting at your mentals a little bit. It is very taxing on the mind because you feel like you study a certain way and then you go and take that exam, those 50 questions, it's like you're going to war, So I would say I think maybe there's a lot of hard things about nursing school, but I think just the biggest thing is just understanding how to study, how to properly study in nursing school and how to go about the exams in nursing school. And what has helped me to overcome that has just really my classmates, man. Like I've depended so much on all my classmates, and I go into them and see how they study, and also go into my professors, and that has really helped me. And just also I think just having determination within myself has helped me to overcome my obstacles and believing in myself. I think that's a really important thing too, to realize that you can do this.
It's definitely that I have to really work on not being a perfectionist. So I'm a perfectionist by nature, always have been, always will be. But nursing school definitely helped slow me down and show me that, imperfect is great, imperfect is beautiful, and perfection does not equal a great nurse, and does not equal a skilled nurse, and does not equal success. So it was really hard for me in the beginning. I'm doing really well in the program. I have about a B+ average. I'm a straight A student usually, so it's been difficult for me, but definitely, I sat with one of my advisors at one point, and she told me, your B+ is just as great as an A. You're doing wonderfully, and you should be really proud of yourself. And so, that really stuck with me. And every time I started feeling myself feeling disappointed, or that I didn't do well enough, or I wasn't doing well enough, I reminded myself I'm doing the best that I can do. And that's really what I learned is in nursing school, with each and every day, with each and every lecture, with each and every clinical, all you can do is your very best. So as long as you know that you're doing your very best, and you're delivering your very best, and you're giving 100%, that's really what you should aim for. It shouldn't have a letter grade on it. It shouldn't have a number grade on it. It should just be that you try and do your best to get through the program and to be the best nursing student that you can be. So that's all the advice I can give about that.
It's finding the time to prioritize your studies and you before everything else, because you only have a limited time in one semester to cram all that information into your head, and to be able to bring it back and to analyze situations that you're given. Every person who I've come in contact with at RCC is students, professors. You see people who care. And the term community speaks to a group of people who share the same interest. And I think that everyone at RCC cares, and the nurses care as well, but they care so much that they want to make sure that people in their weakest moments will have someone who is looking out for their best interests, someone who's caring for them, and making, even while they're sick, someone feel like they are a part of a community.
So, critical thinking, test questions, and just not what you're used to. Like you said, I got my bachelor's back in 2013 in business, and pretty much all my life it was a lot of no studying, just learning in lecture, learning from the classroom, and just taking the tests and usually getting an A or doing pretty well. But nursing school is 100% not like that. It's a very different process. You have to not just memorize and answer a question. It's a lot of really thinking and using your knowledge, and everything you learn is important because you will see it somehow, some way, in your career, in a test, or just as you're building on your nursing knowledge.
The hardest part for nursing school for me was learning the difference in how to study for nursing classes compared to general classes or even science classes. In nursing school, it's not as simple as memorizing the information. That is important, but you have to be able to understand the material in the context of a critical thinking question. So the questions are rarely direct. Often, if not always, all of the answers, some of the answers are correct. You just have to find the priority. So yes, you have to memorize the material, but more importantly, you have to be able to apply the material. So the only way to overcome this is to do questions upon questions upon questions. In doing so, you teach yourself how to intervene in these situations in healthcare settings, because many of the questions are scenario-based. You eventually learn to put yourself within the question and say, okay, if this were to happen to me, here's how I'm supposed to handle it. This is what I was taught to do first.
The hardest thing is failing. It knocks your confidence. It makes you feel like you might not be good enough to do this, or that you may not be able to figure out how this works to become a nurse. I failed my first semester. I was doubling up, thinking that I was able to work a full-time job at the same time as going to school, but I couldn't cut it, so I had to repeat. And since then I've taken single classes every single semester, and it's worked out fine.
There's a lot of things that are hard about nursing school. For me, I think the hardest part is actually learning to think like a nurse. And when I say that, I mean the exam questions, they're not black and white. They're not asking you for immediate recall of information. They're asking you to think like a nurse. And, as a nursing student throughout the program, this is what we're being taught. So for me, that was the hardest challenge. Even here I am in the end of the 240s, I've had my struggles along the way. I've reached out to professors, to help me change my way of thinking. And that's the hardest part is, you go to school, you think you have your study patterns down, you think that you have it down pat. And this is different, and you have to learn to adapt. That's the only way that you're going to get through this program. These exam questions are preparing you to be a nurse. These are real life situations. You have to be able to learn to think on your feet. And while you have a little bit more time, thinking about the question on an exam paper, you have to be able to do it in real life, and it's difficult. And it's not something that I've mastered yet, and I don't think it's something that I will master, for years to come. I'm only a beginning, nurse. I'm still learning. I'm going to continuously learn, but, basically what this taught me about myself is just that, that I am willing to change. I am willing to get different advice, and it proved to me that I can do it.
The hardest thing about nursing school is dedicating hours and hours to studying. Whether it's the weekend, a spring break, holiday, or a vacation, that to succeed, you have to put nursing school first. I think the hardest thing was having to say no to family and friends when they asked to go out to dinner or any other outing. I always had to tell myself that all these things were still going to be going on when school's over and that everything would be worth it. It really did wind up teaching me how strong I can be and how much I can get done when I really put my mind to it. And that 2 years of dedication is a long time, but in the end, with only having 5 weeks left, it has to be the best feeling and the most rewarding feeling that I've had in a long time.
I think the hardest thing about nursing school for me has been the amount of time I've had to sit and study and really apply myself to the degree that I've never found myself to have needed to really apply myself. And honestly, I've never thought that I was able to accomplish this. And I was able to learn a lot about myself, about my ability to achieve a lot academically, a lot more than I thought I could entering this field.
So unity in the community. The RCC nursing program definitely is all about unity. I mean, we go through this program together. There is not one professor, clinical instructor, or fellow classmate that I have come across that hasn't been willing to help me, to teach me something, to explain something, to further clarify something. Even during clinical rotations, I was always nervous that I'd be on my own doing everything. And it's not like that in the program. As long as you're open and willing to learn and willing to ask for help, the nursing program does function as a unit. We are united, and we do try our best to be there for one another every chance we get. My fondest memory about being a student nurse at RCC is definitely my very first clinical. We were doing a clinical rotation with our geriatric population. We were at an assisted living facility. And I remember doing my first bed bath on a patient who had MS, and she really couldn't move, and she had a lot of contractures. And I just remember her not being able to talk, her not being able to move, but I remember the look in her eyes as I was caring for her. And it took a lot in me to not get emotional, but that look really said it all, that she was grateful, thankful, appreciative of what we were doing for her in that time. And it's one of my favorite memories, and anytime I think of nursing school, I will always think of that first experience in clinical.
First thing that pops into my mind are my classmates, man. Literally, when you get into the program, you will understand that like no one understands what you're going through besides your classmates, and your classmates will literally become your best friends, your ride or die. You may not be besties with everybody, but you'll have like your core group of people that you've been with from the beginning of your classes, and as you move forward, and whether some go behind or some move forward, you gain such wonderful relationships
because the program is very diverse. I've met students, teachers, patients from various backgrounds, and I think it's important that as student nurses, we learn from each other and we're always respectful. What skills have you been tested on this semester? Which one was the hardest and easiest? Were you nervous? So this semester we did our exit skills, so it was blood and heparin administration and meds A and B. And I think the hardest would be the blood administration because it had the most steps that you had to remember. And I think the easiest was meds at A and B because we tested on this in 113. But I was equally nervous for all of them. I always am nervous for skills when you test out just because it's a nerve-wracking process. But I think I was most nervous because it was my last semester and I didn't want to mess up.
So the most challenging skill for me was probably catheterization, and also trach care, proper trach care. Not that I wasn't able to do it, but there were so many small details and steps involved in performing it properly, that I remember going in and just thinking, man, if I just miss one step, if I just, forget one thing, I am just not going to pass this skill.
For blood transfusion, heparin, this is something that in the hospital setting that we're going to be doing a lot of, and there's a lot of different steps. You need to verify with other RNs. There's a very, thought out, process in which you have to do this, and it's very important to get comfortable with this skill because it's something that we're going to be doing a lot, in real life. So I wanted to make sure that I really understood what I was doing, and more importantly, why I was doing it. And of course, when I was skilling, I was nervous. I was nervous in 111, and I will be, I'll continue to be nervous here in the 240s. It's nerve-wracking. You're having somebody watch you, watching your every step, making sure that, you're doing everything correctly. And, they're doing this because it's for the patient.
If someone said, I'm thinking about applying to nursing school, what is the single best piece of advice you would give to them? I guess I would say, nursing school is not easy, and you need to really, evaluate why it is that you want to go to nursing school, because you're going to need a strong motivation to keep you going when you've got those rough days before exams and you're stressed out. You need to be able to remember, this is why I do it. This is why I decided I'm going to go on this journey.
I would say just do it. Don't think about it, just go for it. It's going to be hard, but the reward is so great. There's no better feeling than knowing that you've accomplished something that takes serious brains, time, effort, and you did it all for yourself. And it's not only for the degree, you're gaining a lifetime of knowledge and connections.
I would tell that person to definitely go for it. They should not give up. I know it's going to be stressful and hard. The classes are time consuming, but it will be worth it. Just make sure that you stay on top of all your work, all your readings, because it will be hard to catch up if you fall behind.
Don't give up. It's going to be a shock when you first start. It's going to be a shock throughout the whole program. There's going to be plenty of days where you feel like you can't do it and you're just exhausted, but don't give up. I promise. Just don't. It's totally worth it in the end.
Time management is number one. You cannot get through nursing school if you do not manage your time wisely. You need plenty of time for reading, for studying, for attending class, lecture, clinicals, and also for practicing in the skills lab.
Okay, I'd say, friends, apply and do not stop until you have RN at the end of your name.
Do it. honestly, it's the best decision that I ever made. I was completely scared. I had a stable job, a good income, had just gotten married. Things were, pretty much as good as they were going to get. And, I just knew deep down that nursing is really what I wanted to do. And I wouldn't lead, a very self-satisfied life if I would have just settled for what I was doing. Pretty simply, the nurses are everywhere. One of the most exciting things for me, at least, is being in the clinical setting and working alongside a nurse and finding out that they too were an RCC grad. It's inspiring. It's motivating to know that this is an amazing program that does set you up for success. I've seen nurses who, recent graduates already working, and also, nurses who graduated from the program many, many years ago. And they'll, recall an instructor who may still, be there, and we have that bond. So, it definitely is a unifying force, being able to say, hey, I went to RCC too, and, even though you just may have met this person or, they're 10 years ahead in their career, there's that unity, there's that bond. And, even for the nursing instructors and clinical instructors who have gone to RCC as well, left, started their career and then come back to teach, it just shows that, how great the program is, what an amazing, attraction it does have to a lot of candidates and graduates and alumni. So it's definitely a unifying force that kind of, forms, a sisterhood, brotherhood, I guess, for our male students. And it's definitely formed a bunch of lifelong bonds.
I feel elated. I am so happy to be getting into this profession because nurses are needed. We are needed. And we definitely saw that. That was the case last year during the pandemic. It was so funny because last year I was so bummed out because I felt like, oh, I wish I had gone through nursing school sooner so that way I could be out already and I could be helping right now. Because I think it's such a noble thing to help someone, even if they're not your family member, just to help others in their time of need. I'm big on that. I'm big on giving back. I'm big on helping when you can. And so I'm so thankful that I'm learning a skill set that I can go anywhere and, I can help as a nurse.
I actually began volunteering as a nursing student patient care associate at Nyack Hospital right after the pandemic began. I was thrown into the hospital floor setting on day one when I thought I was only going for orientation, and I think that was the absolute best thing that could have happened to me. Working in the hospitals during the pandemic definitely was chaotic at times, but I believe it's prepared me for potentially challenging and chaotic times starting as a new nurse. I can reflect back to the times how I felt in the first few months starting on the floor on the COVID units and think if I can get through that, I can get through anything. It's also been a blessing to be able to work with patients who rely on the nursing team to be their family because they can't have anyone visit. It's been inspiring, and I think I've been able to experience a level of patient care that I would have never otherwise experienced. And I'll definitely be bringing these experiences into practice as a nurse.
Over the past 3 semesters, COVID-19 has really put a toll on the nursing experience. Between going 100% remote and missing out on clinicals, we have lost a ton of experience. On the contrary, we have experienced a whole different world of nursing that I'm so grateful for. Being involved on the front lines during a pandemic gives you a rewarding feeling that cannot be matched. And although we have lost some experience, we did gain different aspects of nursing. We persevered and we stuck together and we relied on each other in the program. Between our instructors, classmates, friends, and family, we really did stick together and we were able to rely on each other, take advice from each other, stick together. We did Zoom group chats, we did group studies. We were able to really persevere during this. And I do think it's going to make us a stronger nurse because now we have experienced why we do nursing and why we picked this as our career as a registered nurse.
I had a really, really core-shaking moment last March where I questioned it. I wasn't sure if I was the right person to be a nurse. I think everybody was questioning a lot of things during March of last year. There was so much uncertainty. But I think that the conversations that I've had with my professors and the conversations that I've had with other healthcare professionals that I work with reminded me that this is not the norm. And when you don't have a degree yet and you aren't in the thick of it, you're going to have those feelings of doubt because it's not the same as what it would be if you were able to help.
Since the past year has been unprecedented, how do you feel about your future on the front line of healthcare? So I am nervous to start my first job as a nurse, but I think it's fair to say that everybody is, no matter what the circumstances are. But I think that COVID made it a little more difficult since we weren't able to have as much time with real life patients as we were when we first started the program. But I think the pandemic also let everybody realize like how important nurses really are in the healthcare system.
When I hear unity and community, how does RCC nursing fit into that statement? Unity and community has been more essential over the past year, as we all know. RCC's nursing program has really shown in more way than one how to come together as a community to provide the best care, along with the best education possible during a pandemic. Between on-site testing and volunteering to test for COVID and administer vaccines, RCC's nursing program has opened so many doors for many, and I'm so grateful that I picked this program. When I graduate nursing, what kind of nursing do I want to do and why? When I graduate nursing, I'm hoping to land an ER and ICU position with the ultimate goal of being a CFRN, which is a certified flight registered nurse, for transporting critical patients on a helicopter to high acuity hospitals, or going on to receive my nurse practitioner license and having my own practice. I guess I'm just going to have to see where my career takes me, but as of right now, my main goal is to pass my NCLEX, get an ER ICU position as a floor nurse, and finish my bachelor's.
So I would ideally like to work in labor and delivery. Throughout the program, I've been able to see a lot of med-surg and go to nursing homes and go to maternity, and honestly, that was the best experience that I had. I was able to participate a lot. From the second they put me into the room, I was able to jump in and help and see somebody give birth, and it was amazing. And I myself had my daughter while I was in the nursing program, August 1st, 2019, so right after I had completed my first semester, and that was an amazing experience, thankfully, for me. And just being able to see how all those nurses really, cared for me and pushed me and helped me through one of the hardest things I was ever going to do in my life. It was just, amazing. Nursing, is all about helping others and advocating for your client and just, doing the best that you can for others. And although many people are vulnerable at a bunch of different times and with illnesses and things that are going on in their life, to me, I see life being born, that as being one of the most amazing experiences. And for me, that's what I would.
In emergency medicine, yes, I was one of those that was obsessed with NY Med and NYER on ABC. But specifically, I would love to work in pediatrics, actually. I've been working in pediatrics on the dental side of things for about 3 or 4 years now. I worked at a pediatric dental office for 2 years, and then the past couple of years, I've been working at an orthodontic office. So I've been working with kids for quite some time now. And I just love kids. They're so much fun. I love the stickers. I love the popsicles. I love the colors. I love the just the playfulness that pediatrics comes with. So I like that. So ideally, I would like to work at a pediatric ER. But before that, I wouldn't mind getting into like an intensive care unit or a step down. So like a pediatric intensive care unit. And then making my way into the ER.
My future it isn't written yet. Maybe mental health nursing, maybe NP mental health nursing. maybe hospice or cardiac. I don't know. I think that in nursing, the career picks you.
When you graduate, what type of nursing do you want to do and why? When I graduate, I would love to work in the ICU or the emergency department in the critical care setting. I want to solve problems, and working in the critical care setting would offer me the opportunity to make a difference in one of the most vulnerable moments of someone's life. I want to feel challenged, and I enjoy a variety and routine. And eventually, I would love to apply my critical care skills as a nurse practitioner.
I'm not sure 100% what field I want to go into in nursing. I always thought I wanted to go work in the ER, with the action, maybe be a trauma nurse. Being involved with EMS, I've always liked that edge. But I also work in pediatrics right now, and I really enjoy working with pediatrics and connecting with the families. So we'll see. I think for right now we'll stay with trauma nursing.
Unity and community is symbolic of RCC's nursing program throughout the pandemic. Over the past 3 semesters, students, teachers, and administrators have adapted to the changing times as a unit, especially during the first few months of the pandemic when everything was so unknown. On a human level, this was terrifying because the lives of people that we loved were obviously being threatened. But also as a nursing student, this was very scary because we didn't know if this was going to affect our graduation. Are we going to get enough experience before we graduate? Will I emotionally, physically, mentally be able to get through my semester on top of dealing with this public health crisis? So the nursing program took a lot of stress off of us. There has been an overwhelming sense of understanding across the board, and I'm very grateful to RCC's nursing program for giving us the best possible nursing student experience despite how distressful this past year has been for all of us.
And Marie is the best. Test with Marie if you can. She is tough, but if anyone can prepare you for testing with your skills, it's Marie. But thankfully, all of the women that work in the skills lab, they're really great at reinforcing confidence and, encouraging you and providing you help, right, when you're learning your skills and you're practicing.
Stephen Carroll, I would have to say Professor Carroll, but he was my 142 instructor. He was just so fun. He made that class, even though that was my difficult class because at the time I was taking 141 and 142. And 142 was definitely hard. That neuro exam, oh my goodness, was like, when you graduate, what kind of nursing do you want to do and why? Oh, I love that question. When I graduate, because yes, I'm going to graduate and soon. Nurse Dre, I'm coming for you.